Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. Hey, it's Blaise. Welcome back to Full Spectrum Feeling. It's another week, and it's another week of feelings. So this week I'm going to talk about my Oura tracker ring. So it's like one of those little health devices, like a Fitbit, that helps you with your sleep and your movement and getting to know your body's cycles and what this thing is teaching me about when I push myself too hard and how I feel about that. So anyone who has one of these fitness trackers knows that it's like a little robot coach. Like, it wants to give you goals for your movement and let you know what you should be trying to do. And this one, like, it's smart, right? So it gets to know your patterns and like my heartbeat and my heart rate variability and my temperature and all of that stuff. And it watches my sleep and it thinks it knows how much deep sleep I'm getting and, you know, how much I'm dreaming and all of those things. And then it wants to give me my goal for the day for movement. Now, if you've been with this podcast for any length of time, you know that I'm now a walker. I go walking every day for a few miles. Often I go a couple times a day for a few miles at this point. So before the ring, I had started my walking. After the ring, I definitely have continued my walking. And it's interesting how there's like the comparisonitis against, I guess, what this thing thinks I should be doing versus what feels good and what I think I need to achieve to be one of those achievement people that, I don't know, somehow burns a lot of calories. Like, even though I don't know if that was really my goal, but it feels like maybe it should be my goal now because that's part of how it measures things. And then I went, oh, okay, I'm getting caught in that because it's just measurements and this is how it's talking to me. It doesn't have to mean anything if I don't make it mean anything, but it's taken me a while to come to that conclusion. So the pattern with the ring is that it will tell me that I'm doing great and I'm moving a lot and life is nice. And typically it wants me to burn anywhere from 300 to 400 calories a day. And it's like, if I hit the 300 for 2 days in a row, it ups it to 350. If I hit that for a few days in a row, it bumps it up to 400. Now, it hasn't really kept me at 400 for very long, or at least it feels like it does when it finally gets there. There's something that psychologically or possibly physically happens to me at the 400 where I just feel like I've been pushed too much. And honestly, I don't know if that's actually even true, if it's possible that I'm actually burning that many calories in addition to just existence, because I'm literally like just walking up and down the road. I don't do like weights. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not running, like I'm not doing crazy things. I'm just existing, doing my thing. So it's a lot of walking to hit 400 calories. Let me tell you, I have to walk something like 7 or 8 miles in a day to hit that. And I can do that sometimes. And some days I want to. And other days, it just, like, I look at this thing's like projected, this is what you should aim for today. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, another day of 400? Why are we doing this? Like, it starts to become torturous. And like, why am I holding myself to this high standard? I'd be so much happier at 300 or 350. And so I've had to, I don't know, deal with my feelings about this ring because I actually really love it. I love the data. I love what it tells me. I like that it lets me know when I'm starting to get worn out. So it'll be like, oh, you haven't really been hitting your goals. Maybe you haven't been sleeping so well. Maybe you should rest. And thank God this thing has a rest mode where I can say I want to like not sleep, but just not have a goal for today. And that tends to let me reset naturally. So here's another thing that I've noticed because I'm paying attention, and anything you pay attention to, you start to get a sense for. One of them is that I tend to want to walk about 350 calories a day. It seems like that's about what I want to do. And I get annoyed when the request is for 400. It's not that I can't do it. It's that if the goal is less, if the goal drops down to 300, I'm going to hit 350 most likely anyway. If the goal is at 400, I'll most likely hit about 350 to 379. And then I'll have to like push for that extra 20 calories. And I was like, this is very interesting. One, that there's like an outside goal setter that apparently is just like this artificial intelligence. No one is out there programming, watching me saying, Blaze, you should probably walk more or move more or just like do a harder workout. It's just, I guess that's what the AI considers healthiest for me based on how much it thinks I slept and am rested. But there's also like my own actual experience of it. And I think that's important. I don't know how many of us get caught up in, someone else's assessment of what our goal should be. And I feel like the ring has an assessment of what my goal should be. And I feel like I want to live up to it. So this was interesting psychology. I was like, oh, because the ring tells me to do it, I feel like I should try to push myself and do it. And I guess it's teaching me something about willpower because the ring's goals are not my goals. Isn't that interesting? Even though like you can tell it, I just want to be healthy or I'm trying to get more in shape. Like you could tell it what your main goals are. And I assume, and this again is my assumption, I don't know, that it'll change its algorithm about what kind of goals it has for you for movement or whatever based on what you tell it that you're looking to do. I think I've just left mine as I want to be generally healthier. And I'm wondering, like, it's not tracking what I'm eating, so it has no idea how much food I'm eating. I'm like, man, if you push me for the 400 calories, I'm telling you, I'm going to eat a boatload. Now I need even more. I need even more calories to get burned, but I'm tired because I ate too much and I feel gross. So anyway, all of that to say that I have a freaking fit. When I have to do too much work or I perceive like it's demanding too much of me. And it's funny that as an adult, I can become that person just in my own life. Nobody else knows about it. The only reason you know about it is because I'm recording it here. I don't really talk about it with anyone else. It's just part of my day and something I've noticed in one of my phone apps. And how I feel about it is that I do want to go out. I do want to walk, but I don't want to have to hit a number. Numbers are not my thing in this area. And I guess that's something good for me to know, is that my health goals have a lot more to do with how I feel and less with numbers on a scale, less with numbers on my phone, less with miles tracked. I've also noticed that there's definitely an ebb and flow. So if I go back into the thing and notice like my general trend is that I will be doing well, I'll be well above what it's asking me to do. So it keeps upping what it thinks I should do. And then I guess maybe part of it is I like being an overachiever and I get annoyed when it's set like, oh, your new standard is too high. And you know what? That actually calls back to this people pleaser thing that I've got going on where I want to be recognized for going above and beyond. And if you set my goal at being above and beyond all the time, now I'm just tired and worn out and it's an impossible thing to do all the time. I'm going to say that again because I think it's important. If you're trying to exceed your goal and be outstanding, we can't do it all the time. If that becomes the new standard, it's exhausting. It doesn't leave me room to feel like, wow, I'm crushing it. Now I just feel like, oh no, I can't keep this up forever. Like I can crush it a lot. And then I just want the safety of, just knocking it back a little bit. And I think that it's a human need that we all want to hit our goals. We want to achieve and do well, right? Like I want to achieve and do well. I want to feel like I've succeeded and I've managed to do the thing that I set out to do. And I like to push it a little bit sometimes, but sometimes it's okay to just like meet that goal. And I also need to learn to be okay when I don't meet it. And here's what happens on these trackers. If you don't meet the goal for like 2 times in the week, now it starts like giving you like a red line. It's letting you know that you're not meeting your goals often enough. And you should be aware that that's happening. And I was like, is this a fear tactic from this AI to tell me like, oh no, I'm in the red zone? But it does things like that with restlessness with my sleep. Apparently I kick and toss and turn a lot, which I know. And it's saying maybe I'm not restful enough. And it also sometimes I think misinterprets things and is like, oh, it took you way too long to fall asleep or you fell asleep immediately. And either of those is considered a red flag for being too exhausted or not going to bed at the right time. So I'm taking it all, I guess, what did they say? With a grain of salt to say, okay, this is what it's telling me. Some of its measurements it's got wrong because it's just a ring. Like, it's not a human. It doesn't know everything. Sometimes it's misinterpreting the data and it's giving me a reading based on what didn't really happen. Like, it'll say, like, it took you 45 minutes to fall asleep last night. I was like, yeah, because I was reading a book. And other times it thinks I fell asleep in under 2 minutes. And I know that's not true because I was staring at the clock the whole time. But I just didn't move, so it thought I was asleep. So I'm like, some of these readings are not accurate. And when I look at it that way, it lets me kind of have a chuckle and go, okay, it's some data. It's useful data for the most part. It's not omniscient. The ring is not God. And who am I trying to prove anything to by attempting to hit when it has what I feel is an unreasonable goal of the 400 for like several days in a row? When I actually feel best, sleep better, and seem to like just be happy, kicking that back by 50. And what really difference does it make whether I did it at all or not? Really. This is all of my own personal mind drama. It's just fascinating how much I can get worked up about it, though. Ha! You just got to hear it. Do you guys have these kind of trackers? Do you find them to be accurate? And do you like the goals that they set? Like, I think some people are really driven by that and they want to constantly crush it. But I'm very curious about the average person with these trackers. Like, do you feel like the goals that it sets are reasonable and achievable over long distances of time? Because I put mine into rest mode. I've noticed, like, if it goes 3 or 4 days at the 400 in a row, I find I'm actually, like, the data is starting to change. I'm not sleeping as good. I'm cranky. I'm unhappy, and I don't have time to go for the walk because I'm trying to do other things. And I just want it to be, in my mind, more reasonable for where I'm at. And I guess that's the thing. Like, if you have an AI, like, it doesn't know that I've got a lot of clients and I have other things that I'm doing that besides walking today that also burn calories, like thinking and stressing and recording podcasts. Come on. I'm sure that takes some calories. Oh gosh, probably not as much as like running up a hill, but I'm not running up hills. That's the thing. I'm not running up hills and I have no desire to. So what I learned from all this is that my goals have to come from within me. I can use outside means to track my success and to help encourage me and to help get a general baseline of what's going on. And so that's how I've been using the sucker for the last like month or two, is to look at it and go, okay, its tendency is to just keep ramping up until it gets, in my mind, unreasonable. I'm not going to hit it perfectly all the time. Sometimes I'll go way beyond that, but then I'm tired. And it's okay if I put it in rest mode. For a long time, I resisted putting it in rest mode because I felt like that was like a personal failure. I'm like, oh my God, once every 2 weeks, I put the sucker in rest mode just because I want a day to watch TV. And I was like, well, why can't I do that? Of course I can do that. I'm a grown-ass woman. If I want to put my ring on a rest for 2 days so that I can just watch TV and, not run up and down the hill, that's fine. I don't have anything to prove to anyone, except clearly I have stuff to prove to myself. So that's where I'm at. I'm dealing with my feelings about this and how I want to, I don't even know what I want from this thing. I guess I just want to have irrefutable proof that I'm working hard on my health. And that way, if I showed someone, they go, wow, that woman she's really burning some calories. She moves around. Like, what the hell? Who's going to look at this thing but me? And somehow I want that praise. So I really do have to give that to myself and congratulate myself every day that I get up and go for a walk or do something, kind for my body every day that I'm choosing to eat healthy foods, and just look at it in a very human way and less in an analytical, mathematical, artificial way. Yes. So my friends, I hope that you are using your trackers to help keep you happy and not stress yourselves out. And I do want to say, I actually really love this ring. I love all of the data that it gives me. It's very helpful for very many things. And it really is just my own psychology around the 400 calorie mark that really apparently gets under my skin. But that's okay, because we all have something that annoys us about something that we otherwise like. Isn't that the story of living? And so we just recognize it about ourselves and we love ourselves anyway. We learn our workaround, how we're going to deal with it, and we keep on going. Have yourself a wonderful weekend and a marvelous week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.